This story came entitled, Shadows in the Wilderness. Our journey had begun weeks prior with excited chatter and meticulous planning. It all started with a shared desire for adventure, sparked over cups of coffee and maps spread across the kitchen table. We pored over guidebooks, debated routes, and meticulously packed our gear, ensuring we were prepared for every possible scenario the wild might throw our way. Each member of our group brought their own expertise to the planning process, from outdoor survival skills to culinary prowess for our campsite feasts. As we set out into the wilderness, anticipation crackled in the air as tangibly as the campfire flames would later. We navigated winding trails, crossed babbling streams, and marveled at the towering trees that seemed to reach for the heavens. Yet beneath our excitement lay a subtle awareness of the untamed nature surrounding us, a reminder of the unpredictability that lay in wait. Little did we know as we laughed and shared stories around the fire, that our carefully laid plans would soon be tested in ways we never imagined. But in that moment, all we felt was the warmth of camaraderie and the thrill of the adventure ahead. The crackling of the campfire was the only sound breaking the silence of the night as we huddled together, the darkness of the forest looming around us like a shroud. We were like a group of intrepid explorers, seeking adventure in the heart of the wilderness, but little did we know the terror that awaited us. The initial evening, we were unsettled by peculiar noises emanating from the forest as we tried to rest. There were sporadic whoops and what sounded like rapid movements akin to an Olympic sprinter dashing through the woods. It struck us as odd that amidst the cacophony, there were hardly any other discernible sounds besides the rhythmic footfalls that were suggesting a bipedal presence. The following day unfolded with relative normalcy as we spent most of our time lounging around camp. We did embark on a brief hike through the forest, although we didn't venture too far from the road. It seemed that lingering unease from the previous night's unsettling noises lingered among us, yet conversation about it remained sparse. During the second night, the forest noises intensified, with running sounds punctuated by the unsettling crash of falling trees. Strangely, there was minimal wind to account for such sizable tree falls. We reassured ourselves that a busy beaver family might be responsible for the commotion, constructing a dam or lodge nearby. However, the eerie whoop noises persisted, drawing uncomfortably closer before abruptly ceasing. Upon waking, we noticed a few oddities. Our cooler had been dragged to the woodland's edge, and some lunch meat had inexplicably disappeared, leaving us bewildered. However, we dismissed it as the work of a large raccoon or some other critter. The third evening marked a turn toward the bizarre. As we gathered around the campfire enjoying beer and laughter, an eerie sight unfolded before us. A blue orb with a peculiar rotating green light within. Initially distant and faint, it swiftly approached, transforming into a distinct blue-green orb that left us speechless. Subsequently, two additional green lights emerged in the distance, mirroring the trajectory of the blue orb, converging with it. As all three orbs drew near, we observed them in detail. Initially seeming benign, the situation took a sinister turn when the two green orbs joined the blue one, culminating in a blinding flash within the forest. Within moments, horrific screams pierced the air, fading into a guttural growl of unearthly depth, surpassing even the roar of a male lion at the zoo in intensity. What was strange is that the screams and growls grew ever so slowly, became distant, and none of yous even spoke or moved for the next 10 or 15 minutes. I don't think any of us wanted to acknowledge what we had just seen or heard. We decided we should move to the big-ass tent we set up and call it a night. Maybe the beer was getting to us, and we laughed it off, and each went into the large tent. Just about the time I started to doze off, there it was again, off in the distance. That crazy scream was accompanied by the intensely loud guttural growls. What I saw next would haunt me for the rest of my days. A towering figure, at least 12 feet tall, looming amidst the trees like a specter from a nightmare. Its eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light, and its massive frame was shrouded in a thick coat of fur, blending seamlessly with the shadows. In that moment, all thoughts of bravery fled, and we were reduced to terrified children, cowering before the might of this fearsome creature. As the beast drew closer, its presence seemed to fill the clearing, suffocating us with a sense of primal dread. I could hear my friends whimpering beside me, their fear mirroring my own as we waited for the inevitable. But then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the creature vanished back into the darkness, leaving us trembling and shaken but miraculously unharmed. We sat in stunned silence for what felt like an eternity, scarcely daring to believe that we had survived our encounter with the legendary Bigfoot. As dawn broke over the horizon, we wasted no time in packing up our camp and fleeing the forest, eager to leave this nightmare behind us. Yet, try as I might, I could not shake the memory of those glowing eyes staring out at me from the darkness, a silent reminder of the dangers that lurk in the wild. And though we may never know the truth behind the legend of Bigfoot, one thing is certain: we will never forget the night it came for us, a terrifying reminder of the power and the mystery of the natural world. The memory of that harrowing night lingered in the back of my mind long after we returned to civilization. No matter how hard I tried to convince myself it was just a trick of the imagination, or a bear wandering through the woods, I couldn't shake the feeling that what we encountered was something far more primal and terrifying. As days turned into weeks, I found myself haunted by nightmares of towering figures lurking in the shadows, their piercing eyes watching my every move. Sleep became elusive, and even the familiar comforts of home offered little solace from the ever-present sense of unease. I tried to put the experience behind me, burying myself in work and social gatherings, but the memory of that fateful night continued to gnaw at my subconscious, like a festering wound. It was as if the wilderness itself had left its mark on me, branding me as a witness to something beyond comprehension. Then, one evening, as I sat alone in my apartment, a sudden chill swept through the room, causing the hairs on the back of my neck to stand on end. I glanced nervously out the window, half expecting to see a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me from the darkness. But there was nothing, save for the empty streets and the distant hum of traffic. I laughed nervously, chiding myself for my paranoia, but the sense of unease persisted like a shadow lurking just out of sight. As I tried to shake off the feeling and focus on the task at hand, a sound from outside caught my attention, a low, guttural growl that sent a chill down my spine. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest as I strained to identify the source of the noise. And then I saw it, a figure lurking in the shadows of the alley below, its massive frame hunched over as it moved with an unnatural grace. My blood ran cold as I realized what I was seeing. The creature we had encountered in the woods, unmistakably real and terrifyingly close. Panic seized me, and without a second thought I bolted from the room and out into the night, my heart racing with a primal fear I thought long buried. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of the crowded streets, my lungs burning with exertion and terror. As I collapsed onto a nearby bench gasping for breath, I realized with a sinking feeling that the creature had followed me, that it was out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its chance to strike. And so, as the city bustled around me, I huddled against the cold night air, knowing that no matter where I went, the memory of that terrifying encounter would follow me, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurk in the darkness of the world. As I reminisce about our first camping trip to Atlanta, Michigan, the memories flood back with a mix of excitement and dread. It was a journey marked by meticulous preparation, eager anticipation, and an unexpected encounter with the legendary creature of the forest. Months before our departure, my brother and I dove headfirst into the world of camping, determined to master the skills necessary for a successful expedition. Our backyard became our training ground, a sanctuary where we honed our fire-building techniques and experimented with outdoor cooking. From the crackle of traditional flint and steel to the convenience of modern fire starters, each spark ignited a sense of accomplishment as we watched flames dance under the open sky. Our culinary adventures were equally exhilarating as we transformed simple ingredients into gourmet meals over an open flame. With borrowed campware and a dash of creativity, we savored the flavors of outdoor cuisine, relishing every moment of our backyard escapades. With each weekend spent under the stars, our bond as brothers grew stronger, fueled by shared laughter and the thrill of impending adventure. Finally, armed with the knowledge and confidence gained from months of preparation, we embarked on our journey to Atlanta, Michigan, with hearts full of excitement and trepidation. As we arrived at the undisclosed campground, the scent of pine and cedar greeted us, mingling with the faint aroma of BBQ from neighboring campsites. With practiced ease, we set up camp, the rhythmic thud of tent stakes punctuating our anticipation. The first night passed without incident, filled with laughter, storytelling, and the satisfaction of a successful trout fishing expedition. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness enveloped the campground, our tranquility was shattered by a primal growl echoing through the trees. Panic seized us as we emerged from our tents, our hearts racing as we scanned the darkness for the source of the ominous sound. And then, from the shadows, emerged a figure towering over us, its presence commanding attention and striking fear into our hearts. It was Bigfoot, a creature of legend said to roam the wilderness of Atlanta, Michigan. With adrenaline coursing through our veins, we fled into the night, leaving behind our campsite and all of our meticulously gathered camping equipment. In our frantic escape, our cherished gear was lost and scattered, rendered useless by the chaos of our flight. The next morning, as the sun rose timidly over the deserted campground, we returned to salvage what little remained of our belongings. But the damage was done, and our connection to the wilderness we once longed to explore was irreparably broken. As we drove away from the campground, our hearts heavy with loss and regret, we vowed never to return to the world of camping again. The memories of that fateful night haunted us, forever tainting our dreams of adventure with the chilling encounter with Bigfoot and the loss of our beloved camping equipment. And so, Atlanta, Michigan, faded into the distance, its tranquil forests forever marred by the echoes of our terrifying encounter. Though the allure of the wilderness still beckons, we now tread cautiously, wary of the darkness that lurks within and the creatures that roam its depths.